Howdy, folks. Today I've got Merrill Lutsky of Graphite talking a little bit of AI-powered automated code review. You know, how you can convince the AI to be a little mean to people sometimes? Or John, you'll hear about that in the show. I'm going to keep it quick today. Check out alice.dev, check out the Discord. And this is a pretty entertaining conversation. And, you know, I know code review, and we talk about this in the interview, is one of the first things to get chopped on the floor when those deadlines are hitting, right? So definitely something to consider. Enjoy the show. Still running your business on last week's spreadsheets? Alice automates your data pipelines, connecting old systems to modern dashboards. Stop chasing data. Finally trust your numbers. Learn how at alice.dev. Okay, well, as promised, I'm here with Merrill Lutsky from Graphite.dev, and Merrill is going to solve all my code review problems. I'm hoping his tool is a little less mean than my CTO, but let's see how this goes. How you doing?
Thank you, Michael. Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. So tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me a bit about Graphite.
Yeah, so quick intro. Merrill Lutsky. I'm co-founder and CEO of Graphite. And we're building an AI code review platform for this new era of software development. I think a lot of the excitement and energy has been focused on how do we use AI to write code faster, to build features faster, and it's been amazing at that, and it's given us all these super powerful tools for creating new features and doing our work faster than ever. But what's happened is that for a lot of teams, that's just shifted the bottleneck from how quickly can we build to how quickly can we review and test and deploy and do everything else that happens that has to happen in that second outer loop that we call it part of the development process. So Graphite's mission is how do we adapt the code review and testing and deployment process for this new era of AI, where there's more changes than ever. Those changes, a lot of people aren't necessarily looking in as close of detail at every single line of code that's being generated, as you would if you had written it yourself. So we need to review more code. We need to be more careful and have more protections to make sure that bad code doesn't make it out to production. And I think that requires a combination of both better workflows, better tooling, and a lot of like AI applied to the review process to automate that and take some of the cognitive load off of engineers that a lot of them are currently just buried in a mountain of AI generated PRs that they're doing. I guess as a quick background, all of us on the founding team, myself and Tomas and Greg, we all were previously at much larger companies that had built custom tooling around code review. So Tomas was at Meta, kind of famously had Fabricator as their internal code review and basically their internal developer platform that connected all the different parts of the development cycle. Greg was at Google and Airbnb. I was at Square and Oscar Health, where we actually used Fabricator. There are a lot of ex-Facebookers there as well. So we'd all kind of seen what amazing custom tooling at these larger companies look like and how they approached, even before the AI era, approached automating and accelerating code review. And we wanted to take a lot of those same ideas that we'd seen, plus now the power of AI tooling, and use that to create the fastest and most scalable code review experience for fast moving teams that are building software in a closed source repo and want to ship as quickly as possible.
Nice. So what's the integration story? Because I know a lot of folks who listen are pretty deep into the VS Code, GitHub, I don't know how you want to call it, but that CI pipeline there.
Yep. So the great thing about Graphite, and one thing that we were very intentional about from the beginning, was we built on top of GitHub, and we really wanted to work within the GitHub ecosystem and within the broader GitHub ecosystem. Even sitting on top of Git, we have a VS Code plugin. Our product connects via GitHub app integration. So the beautiful part about that is that you can use Graphite without having to shift everyone over. It's not like if you were to move your whole team to GitLab and then you have to basically convince everybody, it's like a hard migration where you have to convince everyone to shift their workflows and have like a cutover date and all of that. You can actually have even one engineer, one team, like one part of the organization that's that's using Graphite, and everything syncs perfectly back and forth. If I add a comment or I like emoji react to a comment in Graphite, it syncs over to GitHub in less than a second in most cases, and vice versa. So we've built that interop really well, and we wanted that's been one of the keys, I think, to seeing the type of spread that we've seen at companies large and small.
Nice. So is there any preference towards, let's say, stack? And by that I mean, like, is it better with, say, the JVM based languages, or is it better with Rails, or is it pretty agnostic?
It's a good question. So for our AI reviewer, it's fairly agnostic, and it's fairly I'd say that it's fairly reflective of what languages show up in the base model training data sets. It's for pretty much anything that's commonly used. We have good support for it. It's only in some of the more esoteric languages that you wouldn't necessarily expect these models to be trained on. That's when it starts to struggle a little bit. But even then, I think you can solve that with additional context, with providing the reviewer with sets of rules, descriptions, or documentation around anything that you're using that's custom. And a good number of teams actually have, even if they have a lot of custom libraries or custom flavors of languages, they're able to adapt the reviewer to that fairly well just by providing the right context.
So does that mean you can enforce custom rules? I'll give you like a really easy example, right? So internally at TMB, we do a ton of Ruby, and we have custom Rubicop files, custom configurations just on certain things that we internally have decided we don't like. I'll give you an example.
Yep.
We hate monkey patching, right? So it's
a good one.
Is that possible to say that, because you're under the TMB org in GitHub, that Graphite would flag any sort of monkey patching as an issue, or is that going a little too far into the crazy custom route?
No, you can actually. That's one of the features that we built pretty early on for our AI reviewers. You can define for your org, or even for like the repo level, or for certain file paths. You can define custom rules that the reviewer enforces, and the nice part is that then we'll show you analytics then on how many times those rules are getting triggered, like what cases they were. We'll reference it when the AI reviewer comments. It'll reference which. If it's in reference to a particular rule that your org has defined, it'll call that out, so you can see like, was this working correctly or not. And then also we have an easy, we try to make it as easy possible to create and edit those rules. So if you see a comment that you like or don't like, it's a couple clicks then to turn that into a rule or a suggestion for the reviewer to take into account in the future. This is something that's actually kind of a point of contention, I'd say, among some of the AI reviewers out there right now, where I think there's a bunch of different approaches to this. So some have gone the very individual centric route where anybody can define a rule, and anybody can in the org are able to, anyone's able to update these or teach the reviewer practices one way or another. And I think we've found, especially as we've started to move to larger customers, oftentimes at the scale of hundreds or certainly thousands of engineers, you probably don't want every single engineer able to heavily influence the reviewer's behavior. So having some centralization and some access controls on defining and curating and editing those rule sets is really important. But I'd say different reviewers have taken different focuses, and I think we've certainly erred on the side of optimizing for large customers where a bit more centralization and control is important in defining those rule sets.
Right. So Steve can't go rogue and, decide he hates, I don't even know, right? Whatever his stupid pet peeve is, he can't impose it on everybody else. Yeah.
We actually had one customer who was just for fun. They were trying to define a rule where to have the reviewer be extra mean to one particular engineer on the team.
Yeah. So what, you're getting comments back from it, you're getting Slack notifications that are like, this code is so bad, you remind me of John, and John sucks. Right. There's no John. Or if your name is John.
Cyberbullying on PRs by AI, it's a new one.
Got to take the AI to the HR department because really, who's John? Did it work? Did it actually do it or no?
It did actually.
Oh my God.
Surprising.
It's awful.
It does what you tell it to. We provide the product, and our customers can use it how they see fit.
It's okay. We can haze like the one Windows user we have internally and just be like, here you go. Interesting. So now I know you know, whatever you're willing to share. A lot of folks listening are building their own products. What's the stack under the hood here for Graphite? Just as much as you're willing to share, obviously.
Yeah, we're pretty bog standard. I think we made a decision early on to be just a heavily TypeScript focused shop.
Okay.
So pretty much all up and down. Even our CLI we've written in TypeScript, much to the chagrin of the Rust enthusiasts out there. We get a lot of feature requests around that one of like, can you rewrite it in Rust? And we're like, but why? And it's like, because it's Rust. Certainly it'll be, someday we'll do that.
You're
maybe
playing with fire.
Yeah, I think Bun will hopefully solve our problems there in the near future. So that's on the CLI side. On the web, it's pretty standard, like Node, Express. We've hosted everything on AWS, RDS under the hood. Anthropic. We partner closely with Anthropic on the model side of it. We'll use OpenAI for embeddings, Anthropic for most of our inference. Although we're now playing around with like Gemini and a few other models, constantly testing those. We work with Brain Trust on evals. That's been really helpful for kind of structuring the eval panel for us and helping us iterate really quickly on models. I think that pretty much covers it.
I think you guys are the first org to come on and say you're TypeScript up and down.
Really?
Yeah, you're not the first to throw shade at Rust. That's a pretty that's a good job.
No shade for us. It's just it's for like a continuity standpoint. It is really, really helpful to have basically every engineer on the team is able to work on every surface of the product. And as part of our onboarding, we try to give everyone tasks that touch the CLI, that touch our VS Code extension, the web dashboard, or GitHub syncing engine, like all these different surfaces. And then, it's nice for on-call. It's nice for having, much more like fluid teams internally. I think it really pays dividends.
Oh, I totally agree. I very recently wrote and open sourced a Ruby IoT device controller because I didn't want to mix two languages in the same project at the same time. So that's the level of zealotry I'm at. So it's
so you get it.
I get it. I now granted with me it would be Objective-C, but I'm not going to whine about that anymore. It's been over a decade. It's gone. I lost.
Learning Objective-C.
It was a good language. It was if you like brackets, which I did. So, all right, let's say we're a 10-person development org, right? So we're 10 developers. We kind of have a code review process, but we don't really, you know how it is. If we have time, we do a code review. If we don't. How do we get started with Graphite? Like, what are the baby steps?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing, and what a lot of our customers find is like the quickest path to like getting started and getting value from Graphite is using our AI reviewer. So basically you sign up, you connect our GitHub app, and Graphite will start. We'll just you turn it on, and Graphite will start reviewing every PR that you put up in a few seconds. So it's really, and it looks for everything that you'd expect a human reviewer to find. So bugs, style inconsistencies, security vulnerabilities, potential like efficiency optimizations, like anything that you'd expect from a human reviewer, Graphite will comment on. And the nice part about this, especially I'd say for a team of 10 or so, it's code review isn't like quite as much overhead, but the nice part about it is that it lets you offload a lot of the cognitive load of review. So if you have Graphite that's doing a first pass of review in a few seconds, not only do you not have to wait for a teammate to free up and find time to give you a review, you can also fix a lot of the like low level issues or make those small optimizations before you even hand it to them. So that way, by the time your teammate even sees your code, it's pretty much ready to go. And maybe you have some higher level questions. Maybe there's like a few things that you still need to iterate on, but you can really save a lot of those back and forth cycles. So As a reviewer, it's much more pleasant because then you're really focusing on the high level and you're looking at code that's much more complete as opposed to having to scan line by line and see if there are any like typos or logic errors. And then as an author, it's nice because you're getting feedback in seconds usually rather than having to wait. Especially for distributed teams, this becomes a challenge when your teammate is like 6 or 12 hours and shifted in time zones. Then potentially you're waiting overnight just to get that first round of feedback. So it totally changes the rate at which you can review code and how quickly you can get through that process.
Right, you're tightening the feedback loop, really.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'd say then one thing I'll call it is then a kind of a second level to this is once a lot of teams will start just having a reviewer comment, it leaves comments in GitHub just like a normal teammate would. The other kind of like the next level of that is then using Graphite's pull request page. So we have a full PR page experience. We also have an inbox that kind of organizes. It's kind of crazy that GitHub hasn't built this. Like you go to like the GitHub homepage and you can't see like which PRs are waiting for you to review, like where are your changes in flight. Like
I've
all of that's just thing.
Why isn't it just like a dashboard of like stuff I have to get done today, really?
I mean, that's the Graphite landing page. That's the Graphite homepage. You sign in and you see like, here's everyone who's waiting on you and their pull requests. Like, here are your changes. Like this is who your changes are waiting on. Here's what's like ready to merge. All that's like really nicely organized. That's another thing that I think a lot of teams find immediate value in is just seeing that all in one place. And then if you click into a pull request in Graphite, everything syncs perfectly with GitHub. We have like all of your actions, all of the metadata on the PR. But the other really nice thing is that you have the chat with Graphite panel. So you basically have an AI collaborator that's done the first pass at review, but then you can also ask it follow-up questions. You can have it walk you through the code change. You can have it explain certain lines of code. You can highlight things and have it edit, have it go ahead and make those changes with you. It's kind of like you're pair programming with the Graphite agent live on the PR. And I think that experience is something that's kind of totally different from, previously the PR was thought of and has been more of this moment of validation of making sure that this is correct. This is like, this is ready to go versus I think now, especially as AI is writing more of the code, especially as background agents are writing more of the code. So you're not even necessarily, seeing much of the process of creating the change before it comes back to you. Now the PR is much more a place where, iteration and tinkering and building happens, and being able to work on that with like an AI collaborator, just like if you were in your IDE, is really, really powerful.
I love that. And you can also get defensive, I presume, with the AI agent. Why are you marking this bad in the code review? Isn't that the classic way to code reviews?
Why are you so mean?
Why are you so mean? I'm not John. Leave me alone. God. Yeah. Okay, so we always wrap up at one question. It's a little weird, and I always have to clarify it. So what is one tool that you can't live without? Now, there's a couple rules here. It cannot be Graphite, and it can't be anything you or I guess Graphite's your employer, or you or your employer make.
Ooh.
But it doesn't have to be a dev tool. It can be anything.
Ooh, let me think about this. This is a really good question. I would say I'm going to go with Hex. I feel like Hex has been a really helpful tool for us for all of our like dashboarding and data visualizations. We have dashboards all around the office that constantly streaming data. I think that's been it's been a really helpful tool for us for getting all of our like building understanding of usage of our tool, of being able to monitor and track all the key metrics. And I think it's very easy to work with. I like that that you can kind of you can use it on top of our data warehouse. We like the Hex team as well. We know a lot of the folks over there, so that's really been a really helpful kind of not necessarily a dev tool, but as far as like running, what I have, I'm just looking at like what tabs I have open on my laptop, and a lot of them are just like Hex dashboards for the various parts of the product.
Makes sense to me. There's no point in having all that data if you can't actually do any analytics on it. So
yep.
All right. Well, Merrill, thanks for coming on. Hopefully you come on again. We can see how things are going, but This is really interesting because I think, I think we know this, right? Code review is often one of the first things that gets kicked to the curb when teams are under pressure. So it's, something like this to lower the manual barrier to entry, I think, is a big help.
Yeah, I think it's one of those parts of the process that's it's easy to put it on the back burner. It's also easy to like not pay attention. There's the classic meme of like 500 lines looks good to me. Like it's easy for this to kind of slip through the cracks and decline. And I think it's also just one of the less enjoyable parts of software development. Like, there aren't very many engineers who will say like, yeah, I love doing code review. I love going through code review. And I think it is one of those areas where AI really has the potential to make, to kind of abstract away the less enjoyable parts of engineering and let us focus more on the types of thinking and building that are really more the enjoyable parts of our lives.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Michael. This was a lot of fun.
Great. Talk to you later.